This is Star-Born Tales, where the stories of our future are written in the stars. Today, we begin the fall of Earth, a tale of hope, trust, and the price of surrendering our own destiny. The sky split open on a Tuesday morning. 7 massive ships descended to the clouds like silent mountains, their hulls gleaming silver against the blue. They moved without sound, without fire, gliding down as if gravity itself had invited them. People stopped on streets, phones raised, hearts pounding. News anchors stammered through live broadcasts. Scientists scrambled to telescopes. Governments went into emergency sessions. And then the ships landed. They chose open fields far from major cities: Iceland, Mongolia, the Australian outback, the plains of Kansas. No aggression, no destruction, just calm, deliberate arrival. Within hours, doors opened on each ship, and the visitors emerged. They were tall, slender, with skin that shimmered faintly like oil on water. Their faces were smooth, almost human, but their eyes were large and dark, reflecting everything. They wore simple robes of soft gray fabric and moved with a grace that seemed rehearsed. When they spoke, their voices came through small devices at their throats, translating perfectly into every language. "We come in peace," they said. "We are the Valorum. We are merchants, travelers, seekers of friendship. We offer knowledge. We offer healing. We offer partnership." The world held its breath. At first, fear dominated. Military forces surrounded the landing sites. Debates raged in the United Nations. Religious leaders called them angels or demons. Conspiracy theorists screamed warnings. But the Valorum did nothing threatening. They stood calmly at the edge of their ships, waiting. They did not advance. They did not demand. They simply offered. And slowly, cautiously, humanity reached back. Delegations were sent. Scientists, diplomats, doctors. The Valorum welcomed them aboard their ships with warmth and patience. Inside, the vessels were vast and beautiful, filled with soft light and strange music. The aliens showed them laboratories where diseases were cured with a single injection. They demonstrated machines that generated endless clean energy. They shared tablets filled with star maps, mathematical theories, and agricultural techniques that could end world hunger. "This is yours," the Valorum said. "All of it. We ask only for friendship, for trade, for a place among you." It was too good to refuse. Within 2 weeks, agreements were signed. The Valorum were granted zones in international territories. They established embassies in major capitals. Their technology began flowing into hospitals, universities, and research centers. A child dying of leukemia in Boston was cured overnight. A drought-stricken village in Kenya received water purification systems that turned dust into rivers. Renewable energy grids powered entire cities without pollution. The aliens moved among humans freely, shopping in markets, dining in restaurants, attending cultural festivals. They learned our languages, laughed at our jokes, admired our art. They seemed genuinely fascinated by humanity, eager to understand us. They were patient with our questions, humble about their knowledge. "We were once like you," they said, "young, curious, struggling. Others helped us. Now we help you." People began to love them. Months passed. 3 months of peace, progress, and hope. The Valorum became celebrities. Children dressed as them for Halloween. Artists painted murals of their ships. Scientists collaborated on groundbreaking projects. Entire industries transformed overnight. Cancer was nearly eradicated. Famine became history. Climate change reversed. It felt like a new age. But there were whispers. Some governments reported unusual requests from Valorum representatives, access to military databases, seats in closed-door strategy meetings, subtle questions about nuclear arsenals, defense systems, political rivalries. The aliens always had reasonable explanations. "We must understand your world to help you better," they said. "Security cooperation ensures mutual safety." Most leaders agreed. Why not? The Valorum had given so much. But a few refused. Dr. Sarah Chun, head of the Global Science Council, began noticing patterns. Valorum technology, while miraculous, required constant maintenance, maintenance only they could provide, the energy grids, the medical equipment, even the agricultural systems. They all depended on Valorum support. Humanity was becoming dependent. She raised concerns in private meetings. We're building our entire infrastructure on their foundation, she warned. What happens if they leave? What happens if they stop helping? Her colleagues dismissed her. You're paranoid, Sarah. They've done nothing but help us. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling. She watched the Valorum more closely. She noticed how they gravitated toward powerful people, politicians, CEOs, military generals. She saw the private dinners, the closed meetings, the whispered conversations. And she saw the gifts, expensive gifts, rare metals, advanced personal devices, promises of extended life, enhanced abilities, unimaginable wealth. The Valorum weren't just offering help to humanity. They were offering irresistible temptations to individuals. Sarah tried to investigate, but doors closed in her face. Colleagues grew distant. Funding for independent research dried up. She realized with cold dread that she was being isolated. One night, she received a message on her secure terminal. No sender. Just words. Stop asking questions, Dr. Chun. Accept the gift, or lose everything. She stared at the screen, hands trembling. Outside her window, a Valorum ship hovered silently against the stars, beautiful and terrible. Sarah didn't sleep that night. She sat in her apartment, lights off, watching the Valorum ship drift across the sky, like a predator circling prey. The message burned in her mind. They were watching her. They knew her concerns, and they wanted her silent. By morning, she made a decision. If the system wouldn't listen, she'd go outside it. She contacted Marcus Webb, an investigative journalist who'd built his career exposing corruption. They met in a crowded subway station, surrounded by commuters who barely glanced at the Valorum walking among them. The aliens had become ordinary, invisible. That terrified Sarah most. I need you to listen without interrupting, she told Marcus, handing him an encrypted drive. The Valorum aren't what they seem. Marcus studied her face. Dark circles under her eyes, hands shaking slightly. He'd seen this look before. People who'd stumbled onto dangerous truths. Show me, he said. Over the next week, they worked in secret. The drive contained financial records Sarah had obtained through back channels. Money flowing from Valorum accounts into private holdings of world leaders. Massive amounts. Billions transferred into offshore accounts belonging to senators, prime ministers, military commanders, corporate executives. But it wasn't just money. The records showed something else. Contracts. Agreements signed in private. Land rights granted to Valorum corporations. Mining permits for resources humanity didn't even know existed on Earth. Access to genetic databases. Permission to establish autonomous zones where human law didn't apply. They're buying the planet, Marcus whispered, scrolling through documents, piece by piece. Sarah nodded. And our leaders are selling it. They found more. Communications intercepted by intelligence agencies, then buried. Reports from independent scientists who discovered problems with Valorum technology. Scientists who mysteriously resigned or disappeared. Testimonies from low-level government workers who'd witnessed bribes, threats, blackmail. The evidence was overwhelming. Marcus prepared to publish. His editor at the Global Truth Network approved the story. It would go live in 48 hours, broadcast worldwide, undeniable. But that night, everything changed. Marcus's editor called him at midnight, voice strained. The story's killed. Orders from the top. What? Why? Government pressure. Threats of legal action. They're calling it conspiracy theory. Dangerous misinformation. I'm sorry, Marcus. My hands are tied. Marcus tried other outlets. Every door slammed shut. Major networks refused to touch it. Independent platforms mysteriously lost server access. Social media posts about Valorum corruption were flagged and removed within minutes. The silencing was total, coordinated, surgical. Sarah watched it happen with growing horror. They've already won, she said. They've already taken control. But Marcus wasn't finished. He had contacts in underground media, encrypted networks beyond government reach. He'd exposed the truth there, let it spread through channels they couldn't control. He never got the chance. 2 days later, Marcus was found dead in his apartment. Authorities ruled it suicide. A single gunshot, self-inflicted, no signs of struggle. His encrypted files were gone. His sources vanished. Sarah knew better. She went into hiding, moving between safe houses, changing locations every night. She tried reaching allies, other scientists who'd shared her concerns. Most wouldn't respond. Those who did spoke in terrified whispers. "Drop it, Sarah. They're untouchable. People who fight them disappear. I have a family. I can't risk this." Fear had paralyzed resistance before it could form. Meanwhile, the Valorum continued their work. More technology flowed into human civilization. More leaders signed private agreements. More people fell in love with their generous alien friends. Then the announcements began. President Catherine Moore of the United States held a press conference, smiling warmly beside a Valorum ambassador. "After careful consideration and consultation with our Valorum partners, we're implementing new security protocols. Certain Valorum advisors will be integrated into our defense systems to enhance global protection." Similar announcements came from China, Russia, the European Union. The Valorum were being given access to military networks, nuclear codes, satellite systems, all in the name of cooperation and mutual security. Sarah watched the broadcast from a dingy motel room, heart-sinking. "They're inside everything now," she muttered. "Every government, every military, every system." She tried one last desperate move. She contacted General Raymond Cross, a decorated military commander known for his integrity. If anyone would listen, he would. They met in an abandoned warehouse outside the city. Cross arrived alone, face grave. "I know why you're here," he said before Sarah could speak. "I've seen the same things you have." Relief flooded through her. "Then you'll help? You'll expose them?" Cross shook his head slowly. "I can't. They've already approached me, Dr. Chun. They've offered me things you can't imagine. Extended life. Cures for diseases my family carries. Technology that could make my children superhuman. You refuse, right?" Silence. Cross looked away. "They didn't just offer gifts, Sarah. They showed me what happens to those who refuse. They showed me files on people who've opposed them, people who've had accidents, families who've suffered tragedies. They didn't threaten directly. They just showed me the pattern." "You're afraid," Sarah said, voice hollow. "I'm realistic. They're more powerful than us. They've infiltrated too deep. Fighting them is suicide. So you're just giving up? Letting them take everything?" Cross met her eyes, and she saw the shame there. "I have grandchildren, Dr. Chun. I'm choosing them over the world. I'm not proud of it, but that's my choice." He walked away, leaving Sarah alone in the darkness. She realized then how completely the Valorum had won. They hadn't needed weapons or fleets or invasion forces. They'd simply found humanity's price and paid it. Some were bought with money, others with power, still others with fear. The result was the same. Humanity was selling itself. And Sarah Chun, standing in that empty warehouse, understood that the war was already over before anyone realized it had begun. The first act of open resistance came from an unexpected place. A small nation in East Africa, Quemba, refused to sign the latest Valorum treaty. Prime Minister Joseph Adeyemi stood before the United Nations and spoke words that echoed around the world. "We are grateful for the Valorum gifts," he said, voice steady and strong. "But we will not surrender our sovereignty. We will not grant them military access. We will not sell our future for temporary comfort." The chamber fell silent. Delegates shifted uncomfortably. Valorum representatives sat motionless in the gallery, their dark eyes fixed on Adeyemi. "I call on all nations to pause," he continued, "to ask questions, to investigate what we're truly agreeing to. We're moving too fast, trusting too easily. History teaches us that those who offer everything often take more than they give." The speech lasted 12 minutes. By the time it ended, Sarah Chun was crying in her motel room, watching the broadcast. Finally, someone with power had spoken the truth, but the world's response was swift and brutal. Major news networks condemned Adeyemi. ungrateful, paranoid, dangerous. Opinion pieces flooded media platforms, calling him a conspiracy theorist, a threat to global progress. Social media exploded with coordinated attacks. Within 24 hours, Quemba faced economic sanctions from multiple countries. Trade agreements were suspended, aid programs cut. Financial institutions froze Quemban assets. The nation's economy began collapsing in real time. The message was clear: oppose the Valorum and suffer. Adeyemi held firm. We will endure, he told his people. We will remain free. But 3 weeks later, everything fell apart. A Valorum medical facility in Quemba's capital city exploded. The blast killed 47 people, including children. Security footage, later proven authentic, showed Quemban military personnel planning the explosives. The evidence was damning, undeniable. Adeyemi denied involvement, screaming frame up, but the proof was overwhelming. DNA evidence, digital communication records, witness testimonies. His own generals implicated him under interrogation. The international community demanded his immediate arrest. The United Nations authorized military intervention. Quemba was invaded within days by coalition forces, ostensibly to restore order and justice. Adeyemi was captured trying to flee across the border. He was imprisoned, awaiting trial for terrorism. But before the trial could begin, he died in custody. Heart attack, the report said. Natural causes. Sarah knew better. She'd watched the whole orchestration unfold. The Valorum had destroyed Quemba, not with weapons, but with perfect manipulation. They'd framed Adeyemi, turned his own people against him, and used human militaries to eliminate the threat. And the world believed the lie. After Quemba, resistance died completely. No leader dared question the Valorum. No nation refused their agreements. The lesson was learned. Cooperation meant prosperity. Resistance meant destruction. The Valorum expanded their presence rapidly. Their autonomous zones grew larger. Entire regions fell under their administration. They built massive facilities, officially called partnership centers, where humans and Valorum worked together on advanced projects. But humans who entered those centers rarely spoke about what happened inside. When they did, their answers were vague, rehearsed, distant. Sarah noticed something else disturbing. People were changing. Not everyone, but many. Leaders who'd once shown integrity now defended Valorum interests with unsettling enthusiasm. Scientists who questioned alien technology now praised it without reservation. Military commanders who'd valued independence now eagerly implemented Valorum security systems. They spoke differently, smiled differently, moved with an odd, synchronized precision. Sarah wondered if something was being done to them. Drugs? Neural manipulation? She had no proof, only terrible suspicions. She tried to organize underground resistance. She reached out through encrypted networks, finding scattered individuals who still doubted, still questioned. A network formed slowly: scientists, hackers, former military officers, journalists, people who'd lost jobs, families, reputations for speaking against the Valorum. They called themselves the Ember Coalition. The sky was never invaded by force. It was bought piece by piece. And as Dr. Sarachin stares into the silent ship above, one truth becomes clear. The war for Earth has already begun. Join us in Chapter 2 of The Fall of Earth, only on Starborn Tales.